A big week for the Ducks and Beavs. Friday's in-state rivalry will mark the 127th time the Beavers and Ducks will meet on the football field, and then it could be a while until we see a matchup again.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to think about that. That's because Oregon is moving to the Big Ten next year, while OSU is staying in the Pac-2 with Washington State. Fox 12's Nick Krupke reports from Eugene and Corvallis with a pair of iconic broadcasting teams who have been the voices of the game in the Willamette Valley for 3 decades.
When you can't watch and want to know, you listen. Maybe you're working in the garage with those long Saturday drives. The Beaver State has been blessed with some golden tones of some memory-making voices of the game.
Whether it's deer hunters out in the middle of the woods texting us, saying that they're listening around a campfire over in the central part of the state, in the middle of nowhere.
Blazing Saddle comes to mind.
Yeah, it does.
Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen have been the voices of Oregon football the past 35 years.
Oregon was just a cute little story at the time. They're more than relevant now, which is really cool to have been part of that transition.
To see it all.
Yeah, see it all.
Jerry and Jorgie have seen it all and called it all together.
Like brothers, really. I mean,
yeah.
I look at Jerry as a father figure, and yet I look at him as a brother figure, just because of the example that he sets and all the things that go with it.
I think he just took an age shot at me.
Yes, he did.
I'm not sure, but I.
No, I didn't.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
We love each other.
Jorgie loved playing QB for the Ducks from 1981 to 84.
We've said that with a lot of the rivals, a lot of the teams that we played this year that we know are not going to play anymore, whether they've come here or whether we've gone to their home stadium. But Oregon State's different. It just is. It just is.
It's your brother.
So what's the storyline that most intrigues you? That's kind of,
Okay, so just opening it.
In season 25 as voice of Beaver football, Mike Parker roomed in college with the two brothers of his longtime radio partner, Jim Wilson. And yes, Doc was a Duck.
I guess I was, and I'll own that. I graduated from there, and I enjoyed my experience there, and I was passionate about that time in my life. But when I was blessed to get the opportunity that Oregon State gave me and to be the voice of the Beavers in that first breakthrough winning season in '99, I got hired one day, and the next day I'm in an RV with Dennis Erickson. And I was a Beaver in that moment, have been through and through ever since. And I've absolutely loved the life I've had in Beaver Nation.
Mike and Jim are in a 20th campaign as a team in the Beaver booth.
This year it's so strange.
The Pac-12 departures have made for strange times indeed ahead of the 127th meeting between the Ducks and the Beavs as conference brethren.
If it is the last, that's painful. I mean, it's a sad prospect.
You know, the money, the television, it's just all superseded what has been a great and glorious conference for over 100 years.
Big Jim is an OSU Hall of Famer in football and baseball who grew up in Corvallis. Parker moved to Cottage Grove in 1973 and has seen every Duck and Beaver game in person ever since.
It's been such a big part of our lives here, that game, that event. One of the first things I was ever asked was, who are you pulling for in the Civil War? There were always bets on it. It was a big deal. It's always been a big deal, and I knew it almost from the first week I set foot in the Beaver State.
Thanksgiving in the Wilson home is a lot like many around the state, a house divided.
Bob gets there first. He's a Beaver fan. First thing he says to me is, Jimmy, the Beavers can win. And then about 5 minutes later, John arrives. He opens the door, shakes my hand. He says, Jim, what bowl do the Beavers go if they lose?
And that is the Civil. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Family and history with an unknown future.
It will be sad. I mean, I'm an emotional guy. Oh, tears.
You're not the only one.
No.
It's one of those games that some way, shape, or form, it's got to find its way back on the schedule. Regardless of the bitter rivalries, regardless of the orange and black doesn't like the green and the yellow, a lot of mutual respect between the two schools.
This is the end of an era, and there's so much more attached to, I think, this game and the end of this season because of what's looming.
I'm just hoping now that the Beavs can find a way to win down there for the first time since 2007, a game we got to call. And if this is going to be the last, I want to see them go out on another win.
The Beavers, the Ducks, one final time as we know it as Pac-12 rivals, will be right here on Friday at 5:30 on KPTV. In Eugene, Nick Krupke, Fox 12 Oregon.